watching Gravitas, and we're back to Manila. It began with the Ramayana, Maharadya Lawana to be precise. That's what the Ramayana is called in the Philippines. The opening ceremony at the ASEAN summit featured a ballet performance based on the Indian epic. Take a look at this.
A fit opening of the two-day ASEAN summit in Manila with a musical version of the epic Ramayana. It's a narrative that connects the ASEAN countries. The story of Ramayana. The shared heritage of the ASEAN countries reflected in the story of Sita's abduction, and Rama's victory over evil forces. In the Philippines, the epic is known by the name Maharadya Lawana and reflects the cultural linkages of India and several ASEAN countries. Indian Prime Minister Modi was among the heads of states who watched the popular performance presented by the Filipino ballet company Ramahari. The performance underscores the fact that although faith and politics may have changed in the region, India's cultural and historic links to Southeast Asia continue to endure. Bureau Report, WION.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held bilateral talks with the President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte. This is the first meeting between both the leaders. After the talks, the Ministry of External Affairs told the media that both leaders had an excellent interaction. President Duterte is keen to have good relations with India. In a tweet, Prime Minister Modi said that he had extensive discussions on enhancing India-Philippines bilateral cooperation, especially in trade, business and culture. Remember, this is the first time in 36 years that an Indian Prime Minister is visiting the Philippines and is on a bilateral engagement with that country. We come back to the big headline that you'll be seeing in tomorrow's newspapers, the quadrilateral. What is it about? What is the strategic quad that is bringing India, the US, Japan and Australia together? It's become quite the regular feature now. In fact, WION's Ramesh Ramachandran spoke to the Indian Foreign Secretary about this, and this is what he told us. Right, we'll try and play out that soundbite for you in just a bit, but okay, there you have it.
The issue of the quad, the quadrilateral, any particular reason why a joint statement was not issued this time? Also, when might the next meeting of the quad take place, where, when and at what level?
This is what, this is part today of diplomacy which countries do. Different countries do quads, do trilaterals, we do even, I think, 6+1 on Afghanistan. We do a number of trilaterals. Other countries do that as well. The US does a number of trilaterals and quadrilaterals. Chinese also do a quadrilateral. The Chinese do a quadrilateral with the US, by the way. China, US, Afghanistan, Pakistan. In fact, I think they do a trilateral also with Japan and Korea. So, today, if you look at diplomacy in the world, diplomacy is not just only multilateral and bilateral. There is a lot of space in between for different combinations which suit different players at different times on different issues.
With this new terminology which is coming to play, the Indo-Pacific as opposed to Asia-Pacific, what might this change in terminology entail for India, and is India willing to play a more high-profile, high-visibility role in the wider Indo-Pacific region?
On the Indo-Pacific, I'm not sure I agree with your basis of your question that it is something new. My understanding is the concept has been there at least for 10 years, maybe more. I can point to you books which have been Indian books, among other things, which have been sort of pushing that concept. So I wouldn't, really share the assumption on which you've asked that question at all.
Now, this isn't technically news. It's happened way too often. Where Donald Trump goes, protests follow, and Philippines is no different. As the ASEAN summit kicked off today in Manila, thousands clashed with police protesting against the American president's visit. Here's more.
It's not the welcome that Donald Trump would have had in mind. Thousands marched on the streets of Manila, protesting against the US president's visit. They came armed with Trump effigies, Dump Trump banners, and a whole lot of anger. The protests began on Sunday as Trump joined world leaders for a lavish gala dinner. Chaos erupted on the streets of Manila as thousands marched to the US embassy. But the protesters were soon confronted by police armed with riot shields who blasted them with water cannons. But that didn't deter the resolve of the protesters. As the ASEAN summit kicked off on Monday, the protesters were back. This time they tried to storm the International Convention Center where the main ASEAN conferences were held. While Trump's image has not left him with much of a fan base, in Philippines in particular, his recent praise for President Rodrigo Duterte did not go down well. Trump lauded Duterte for doing an unbelievable job in his war on drugs that has left thousands dead with no accountability or justice. The issue is one that has rocked Philippines for months now, and Trump probably hasn't done himself any favors by jumping in the firing line. Bureau Report, WION.